So a big part of my job at the Institute for Justice in the legislative team is building relationships with different elected representatives from across the country, mostly at the state level. So elected House of Representatives members and senators. It's important to do this because, they're filing bills all the time in their respective states. Some of them could be very good and support IJ's priorities of free speech, economic liberty, school choice, or property rights. Some of them could be harmful to those interests. So it's very helpful, one, to have advance warning if something's coming down the pipeline, and two, just to see, if they're working on things that are beneficial, if they share our values, which a lot of them do, then how can we help them to write better legislation and try to get it passed in their states? So I attend a lot of conferences of state legislators. You may have seen my videos from Nashville last week, where I was for the Hazlitt Policy Summit. I must have had about 80 conversations, I would say, with different state representatives from all across the country, senior ones that have only just been elected as well, trying to just build those relationships, get to know them, what particular things interest them, what they're looking to do in the coming legislative sessions. So that leads to a very unglamorous part of my job, which is sending follow-up emails, and it has to be done. So here I am on this Black Friday when everyone else is digesting turkey and looking for good bargains at department stores. I'm here working my list on my laptop of state representatives that I met in mostly Nashville last week at the Hazlitt Summit, following up with them. It's very difficult. You're meeting people. At IJ, we have a booth, and legislators stop by our table, and we talk about our model legislation, our different priorities. Sometimes they're interested in some of the cases that we're suing, that we have going on at the Supreme Court or at the Circuit Courts of Appeals. They want to talk about that. But mostly, what I want to do is take their contact details, find out a bit more about them. But when you're in the melee of a big conference like that, it's impossible to have very detailed conversations. So we want to try and have a follow-up. So I take notes on everyone I meet and talk with, just to remind myself of who I met and what we were talking about. And then afterwards, I can follow up with them and then try and schedule follow-up meetings, maybe with their legislative directors, their chiefs of staff, or them directly in a lot of cases where, they particularly like IJ and want to work with us. So it's not tremendous fun, but it has to be done. It's a very important part of the job of a legislative council at IJ, is just building those relationships and making sure that we can help state senators and state representatives who are sympathetic to the kind of work we do, so that we can try and get lots of good bills passed. Some of our priorities in the coming sessions are around property rights, so a lot of zoning reform. Housing's really catching fire as an issue at the moment, and it's becoming more and more of a bipartisan issue, Democrats and Republicans agreeing. A lot of good stuff on occupational licensing and fresh start, so helping people with old criminal convictions get back into licensed occupations. Once they've paid their debt to society, been released from prison, they've committed no more crimes for a period of time, they should be able to become economically productive members of society again and give back and get back into licensed occupations. So we've got a few bills working on that as well. Other things around criminal justice, we have civil asset forfeiture, trying to get rid of this government-mandated theft, basically, and ensure if the government wants to seize property, it can only be after a criminal conviction's taken place. And then qualified immunity, another big issue that's often in the headlines as well. So making sure that if a government official violates your rights, you actually have a remedy, and that the Supreme Court created doctrine of qualified immunity doesn't bar you from seeking any remedy if your constitutional rights are violated. So there's a lot of priorities that we have at IJ. Met a lot of state legislators who are interested in working in one or more of these. So it now falls to me the unglamorous task of just following up with them before I go to another conference in DC on Monday and have to do the same thing all over again. Thanks for checking in, and I'll speak with you soon.